Hello, thanks for tuning in. Today I want to show you guys how to make your very own light boxes for 27 by 40 original double-sided movie posters. Or you can make them for smaller, but we are making 27 by 40 today. Pretty much all the supplies you're going to need. Well, of course you have the wood, but I will get to that, and the frames and everything. I will get to that in a second. But as far as the small items you'll need, if you're going to build it the way that I'm going to tell you, you'll need these corner braces, whether or not they're in this package or in a little baggie, but it doesn't really matter. They just need to be around this size. You will need some HVAC reflective tape. You can usually find this wherever the air conditioning aisle is at Lowe's. This is the exact kind that I bought. Foil tape. I think it's around $5 or something. I'll have to double check, but it is not that expensive. It's below 10. It's below 10. I know that much. So don't overspend on this. I think there's some that can cost a little bit more. Buy this cheap 3M stuff. Foil tape. It should cost less than $10. You will need one of these slats if you don't have a store near you that sells wood in the exact size that you need. For the backboard here, you can see here I have these two slats right here. If you are a better carpenter than I am, feel free to let me know how else I could have done it. I'm sure there's a billion ways, but this was the quickest, easiest way I knew how to do it. I actually found this near the like roofing lumber, like at Lowe's. It was on an end cap near at the very side of the store where like the house building wood was, and it was on an end cap. It's like $1 a piece, so I got a whole bunch of them. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of them here. That's how I did it. I'm sure there's a billion other ways you could do it. You could probably even use just tape or glue or something. I don't know. I wanted to do it this way. This is probably one of the most unneeded things that you need, though. You could probably figure out a different way to do it. You will need some paint. I just went with this because honestly, I had some leftover chalkboard paint from a different project, and then I put it on my sides for my light boxes that I've already built, and I thought it looked great. And it's actually the cheapest black paint I could buy. It was like right at $10 for this size. If I wanted to get anything different, it was going to cost an extra couple dollars at Lowe's. If you go with spray paint though, just FYI though, spray paint runs out pretty quickly. And this took not long to dry at all. It took just like, like 3 hours, I guess, to dry enough so that you could work with it. Maybe even less. Depends how sunny it is outside. So it dries pretty quickly. Like you wouldn't have to wait a day or anything. You just wait like a couple hours, and I think you should be able to work with it. Don't stack the wood when you're done with it, though, even if it feels dry, because it will stick. So just FYI on that. And then, just the cheapest paintbrush you can get, and rinse it out. These are the screws I went with. Feel free to use whatever the heck you want. But I have stripped a billion screws in my life, so now I love to use these Torque screws. They cost a little bit more, but I think they're worth it. And you see, it's hard to focus here, but it's like a star shape. This is all very typical stuff, so feel free to just tune me out at this point. But and it comes with one of these bits usually. And but this is the exact kind I got, and it works just fine for this project. If you have something a little bit longer, you might have an issue with the wood that I'm recommending. So just keep that in mind. I did not go over these little screws though. Just find for this situation with the slats, find the smallest possible screws you can get. It's pretty much what it is. You will need 2 of these picture hanging nails for each light box you build, with how I'm going to instruct you on this. Just 2. Maybe a couple extras in case you screw up, but just 2 for now. We'll go over that later. Actually, you will need a couple. Actually, no. These screws might be too long. If you get this package, these screws might be too long. Well, we'll go over that later. I will correct myself if I'm incorrect. I think those screws are too long though. So if you get this, feel free to spend less and get the ones with just these and buy smaller screws. These screws are too long. So, okay. And, excuse me. I'm actually not a huge fan of these hangers either. These screws right here that are permanently attached to this thing almost, potentially, they strip pretty quickly. So I'm not a huge fan of that. Instead, I would recommend just getting hangers like this. Something along these lines. I got this at Walmart. You can get this. I've actually built 3 of these now with these, and I will probably open this one up too. But hindsight, I would have bought something a little differently. And then you'll need some sandpaper, of course, but you probably already have that. And of course, a power drill. Definitely a power drill. And one of these things, I've actually already broke one tonight, so that's fun. I keep breaking those. To drill your pilot screws or pilot holes before drilling. Otherwise, this wood will splinter. I don't know if I have an example here, but I even did pilot holes and it still splintered in spots. So, and then I'm going to paint up these screws when I'm done. Okay. And then now I will go over the wood. So these are 1x3s here. Let me pull out one of these. This is a 1x3 whiteboard wood, I believe I saw at Lowe's. It's around $7 something, maybe even less if you use a Lowe's credit card or something. I don't know. It's like 1x3, but it's in actuality, it's like 0.75 width, and then like 2.5 width, and then 0.75 height. I guess how you do it. Yeah, so it's like 0.75 by 2.5, but it's actually called like a 1x3 at Lowe's. And then this is where I got stuck because I stacked them when they weren't fully dry. Watch out for that. Okay, and then this wood here, it was like a 2x, of course it's not actual 2x4, but it was like 0.25 wood. Probably even a little bit less, but that's just their size before you buy it. That they kind of like the 1x3 thing, so it's like 0.25, but probably a little thinner than that. And it was like 2 feet by 4 feet. And I've already cut this one a bit. And universal, and they call it's plywood. It's okay, here it is exactly 5.2 millimeters by 2 by 4 Luan plywood. That is what I have. It is going to work just fine. If you have thin wood like this too, it needs to be wood. Don't use cardboard because you are going to be hanging by this thing. So make sure it's actual wood. Unless you hang it in a different possible way. Okay, and then, I even cut off a little bit of the sides because, of course, Lowe's didn't want to, sorry about that, I accidentally zoomed weirdly, didn't want to sell in the exact size I needed, so I had to do it something kind of like this. So if you have a better wood resource, feel free. Or if you have different options of how I could have done it, feel free. And yeah, so that is how that was done. And then you will also, of course, need the most important part, and what is different than different than every single tutorial I've seen on YouTube, is always recommended to build a light box with snap frames. The problem with snap frames is that depending on the time of year, they can be pretty expensive, or more expensive than I wanted to pay. And at the time when I wanted to build light boxes, I already owned like at least 4 of these exact poster frames. These are $20 poster frames from Walmart, 27 by 40. Of course, that's the interior. In actuality, it's like 41 by 28, you know, from the edge to edge. So the way I thought about it was, okay, so snap frames are around like $70. What's like the cheapest way I could possibly get this done? And at the time, it was definitely this way because I already owned these frames. But if you don't have these frames already, it's still a little bit pricey. So feel free to come up with your own ideas. I have been trying to figure out even a cheaper way to do it than this, but I just can't think of one right now. I've tried different things and I can't think of one. But basically what we're going to be doing is, excuse me, we are going to open up one of these, and of course we're going to use this frame. We're going to take out the cardboard, of course. We're not going to need that. We're going to use this plexiglass in front, definitely. But then we're going to need one more. And the only purpose for this is for this plexiglass. We are going to push this plexiglass out of this frame, and we are going to sandwich them between each other. Yeah, so we will be sandwiching the two frames between each other. Yeah, so this frame will be pretty much used as is, but we'll be pushing out the plexiglass out of this poster frame. We will sandwich it behind this one, and you can see on these poster frames, it has these regular clips. We've all seen these clips before. It will actually hold just fine the other plexiglass behind it. And that, my friend, is my secret to building these light boxes. Okay, just trying to give some of the measurements here. I would show you all of my notes, but honestly, I don't cut things perfect, and I'm pretty terrible at measuring things sometimes. So I would recommend very much so doing your own measurements, but in case people don't feel like doing them, I will show you some of mine. So this is 28.5 inches wide, and this middle board, you can see I didn't cut it like a frame because this is going to be hidden behind the poster frame. So this board right here is, you know, 27 inches exactly. And then the board down here, yeah, this will be, it's right at 41 inches, of course, because the poster is 27 by 40, but the frame is bigger than that. And this actually is going to be hidden, this whole outside frame, the inside of the box is going to be hidden by the frame of the poster board, or not the poster board, of the actual frame. And since I've actually done this project before, while I've been doing this, and I would recommend doing this too, since you need to do this anyway, if you are going to make it this exact same way that I'm telling you, you will already have an extra frame because you had to push out the plexiglass from it to use, because plexiglass from Lowe's is actually more expensive than buying an entire poster board or a poster frame from Walmart. We are in a weird monopoly of plexiglass. I don't know what's going on with the plexiglass world, but they are very proud of their prices. So it is actually cheaper to just buy 2 poster frames to get the plexiglass. So that is why I have an empty frame that is pretty much just used for my template design here. So I kind of just put it here. You can kind of see how it lines up correctly, and it's all messed up because the tabs aren't laying flush. But that can actually help keep you in check by using this extra frame that you aren't going to really probably use for anything else, to kind of keep yourself in check. So yeah, so it's yeah, it's definitely not the perfect size, but it's pretty good for now. And over here I have some of the other ones that I've been in the process of making. I'm going to try to sell these. We'll see who wants to buy them. But this is basically how it looks on the back. There's that slat I talked about, since Lowe's doesn't make the size wood that I needed for this backboard. So that's how I had to do it. If you have a better idea, feel free. And here is the hanger. I hang it by like one single screw in a strong anchor or on a stud. And this is how I do it with that. Of course, you could always do it in a different way. You could put two of these on here, one there, one on the other side, and some wire in between. Knock yourself out. But I thought this was just fine and easy. Yep. And now I will show you a completed project. Here are some completed light boxes of mine. So as you can see, there is still a little bit of room for improvement. You can see some light escaping on the side. That is perfectly fixable, you know, with like a little bit of rubber or tape or whatever. I just haven't gotten around to doing that. And then the actual lights that are back here are actually not controlled by Alexa. I have those set up with smart switches, honestly. So yeah, I can even go like Alexa, movie time. Alexa, movie time. And then turns them off, and then I can watch a movie. Or I can also do Alexa, show the art. Turns them back on. And these do that weird colors cycling. But that was because I bought, you know, different kind of light strips in the inside of them. So the ones I'll recommend, they shouldn't have that situation happen. But so yeah, so this is basically how they are. I even have them tucked away behind the wall in terms of the wires. And those are those smart plugs I talked about. But yes, let me take off one of these. But basically, oh, and I have a Velcro strip down here to kind of help keep it closed. So, all right, so now just make sure you get your Velcro. If you have a little Velcro strip helping keep you attached. See, I just have those squares, although you can just buy some Velcro and just cut it to size. That's what I've done mostly. All right, so now that's detached. Let me go ahead and see if I can pick this up. Okay, but I'll show up here. So this is where those two picture hanging nails came from. You're going to hammer one on both sides on the top. Of course, on the ground. You wouldn't do this like up here, like when it's already on the wall. You do this on the ground. You hammer two nails up there, make sure you measure it accordingly. And then these L brackets I drilled into here. This one actually was a little bit too long. It's actually poking through, but the other sides, it's not having that issue. So make sure to not get too long of screws for that. I will show you what that looks like. So this is what it looks like on the inside. This is a 16.4 feet light strip, I believe. I'll have a link to it in the video. And I just lay it out as so. So I just go up, over, down, over. You can count the number of lights if you want to do it the exact same way, but not a big deal. The light disperses pretty evenly with that HVAC foil tape behind it. So, like, I don't think they're all exactly uniform the same underneath. So, in terms of how I laid the lights, I think that might be slightly different and that one might be slightly different, and it all looks about the same. And then, yeah, you can see the Velcro strips up here. These were the first ones I ever did, so you can see how it's like white wood right here. The new ones I've made, I've painted both sides, so I wouldn't have that problem. You can see here, I was kind of running out of wood, and I had to make do with that and use two separate pieces of wood. If you had that situation, the way you keep them together is just screw the wood, these two slats of wood, to the backboard behind it, and that will keep them in place. I had to do that for a couple of them because I wasn't going to buy more $7 slices of wood. But yeah, but I would actually highly recommend painting all the wood before you put it together. That way you wouldn't have this weird situation that I do when you take the wood off, or the poster off, and see that white wood, the whiteness of the wood. But it's actually extremely easy to take these off. I just needed 2 hands. That's why I didn't do it on camera. Because I actually had a mistake last time and they got snagged and it fell to the floor. But it's perfectly easy with 1 hand, or with 2 hands, I mean. And you can see here, I just put the L brackets on here like so. If you're making more than one of these, try to make them all universally the same. So then I could easily switch this poster on that one or on this one. Just pick it up and just lay it on top and hanging on those 2 little nails. You could even paint those nails black if you want, or do it a different way. I don't care. And you can see here, there's 2 sheets of plexiglass. So one that I reused from a different poster frame, that I put very carefully pushed it out of the frame in a different poster frame, and I have that behind this one because the light needs to shine through. Otherwise, I'd use cardboard and save myself $20. And there's plexiglass on this side too. So they're sandwiched together, being held by these tabs. This is not perfect, but this is a pretty cheap way of making a light box. And it's worked just fine for me, and I've made 4 of these now. And actually, I will have made 8 of these now by the time you probably see this video, because I'm making 4 more. Of course, my house, I have too many of them now, so I'm selling the 4 that I'm making. And you can see here, this is pretty much how I put the wires in. I actually just got a drill. You could do this in any sort of way. Some people loop it right into the back of this thing. That's not how I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it this way. Feel free to do it however you like, whatever your situation is. I just thought this was the easiest, quickest way, the way I wanted to do it, so I could easily change this light strip out if I needed to. Because if you do it through the back here, you might have a harder time switching this stuff out if it breaks. Because these light strips, they do break after a certain period of time. But I will be ready for it. I might have to buy some more foil tape, and then I'll just put a new light strip on. And guess what? These light strips are like $10 a piece now. They've gone down in price, and they're controlled. You don't even need a smart switch for these things anymore, or a smart plug for these things anymore. They're automatically smart. And then you can control colors and set it to dance music or whatever you want to do. But these actually did come with little tiny remotes, but yeah, I like to control everything from my phone. This one, yeah, you can control all the colors and stuff, but unfortunately, if you wanted to control the colors and stuff, you have to do that manually. You can't do that through the smart plug, but the ones I'll recommend, you can do all that stuff from your cell phone or from voice with an Echo if you want, or a Google Home thing. These are just ones I've made before I realized that. But yeah, that's pretty much how I made it. And the foil tape here, yeah, so I just went 1 strip down, 1 strip down, 1 strip down, 1 strip down, till the whole thing was covered. You can see, just cover the whole thing so the light disperses. Just get the sides, get all of it, and then you put your lights down, and you carve out a hole for it, or put it through the back, however you want to do it. And that is how it's done. And then if you do it this way too, by using the L brackets, then you can easily, if you make more than 1 light box, which if you're going to make more than 1 light box, I'd highly recommend doing them all at the same time. That way you save a little bit on materials potentially, and it's pretty quick to make multiples of these. But to make one by itself will take some time. So it's better to make them all at the same time if you can, and make them all the same, so then they, because you're probably going to have them next to each other. And if you do it this way, then you can easily switch posters around if you want. And I'll show the one in my office too. And so this is the one in my office / man cave. Right now I have a Tron poster, but I could easily switch it out with the other ones you saw from the other room pretty quickly if I wanted to. You can see here all that crazy light from the top. That's the light escaping from around the frame. I could easily, you know, of course, you guys could easily fix that with some tape or some rubber or whatever you want to do, an extra slice of wood. It's just however much time you want to put into it. Honestly, with this Tron poster, I thought the light reflection looks pretty cool. Almost like I'm doing it on purpose or something. I'm sure other people might feel differently, but whatever. I think it looks kind of cool for now. I'll probably plug that light up at some point though, whenever I feel like it. But yeah, but I really like this here. And this one actually is with the better lights that I can control with the Echo and switch them around. But it's just really quick and easy to hit it up. Do it with this button over here. And you know, this poster is pretty cool to do that with because it's almost makes it look like they're getting more evil. And I think that's a white light. And then you have your different settings. I think that one's reacting to sound. Well, thank you so much for watching. And just so you know, this Lightbox project looks best with original double-sided movie posters, ones that were used for the movie theaters, that the movie studios themselves sent over, and they're printed in reverse.